like this. I'm going to try broadcasting, and we'll see whether or not they can see this. It says it's broadcasting. So I don't know what the deal is. I've actually quit the software and gone back in, so it might try to relog. I'm thinking that something's gone wrong here with livestream. I may have to.
You're gonna have to shut down your internet connection and do a complete reconnect.
Yeah, maybe.
My opinion.
May have to do it. It takes a while to reboot the system. Well, we got 20.
I know you're gonna be down in maybe 5 minutes.
Oh, somebody says he's back.
You're up.
He's back. They are saying. Okay, so can you see us now then, folkies in the channel? We've got Miles still on the line, but we had a weird thing. So.
No, you know, Matthew, you were shut down. I was shut down.
What happened your end?
Did that come across?
Yes, but I mean, you would have.
I was completely shut down.
What, your machine shut down?
I had to. Everything froze here. I had to do a complete reboot.
That's mad. That's mad because it happened here too. You know, I literally
Yeah, but this is the point, Matthew. This is a live experience event. The content of what we're talking about, the kind of crap that I've been talking about going on at Sky TV and things crawling around inside transmitters on a 1 megawatt FM pirate on the Irish border is real. It's not to be laughed about.
Okay. Now, hang on a minute.
That is why I went so far as I did and got fired for it.
Right. Okay, I'm going to say, can they see Miles talking? No, they're saying it's a repeat. So the other things is kicked back into automatic mode.
It just kicked into automatic repeat then. So
no.
Basically show's over.
So, Sonia, can you see Miles?
I'm going to hold up a green mug.
He's holding up a green mug. There you go.
Mug.
Yeah, Sonia says we are live again. Great. Okay, thank you for that. It takes a lot to get people to actually bloody respond to you, doesn't it? It's like, are we live, please? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live?
Hey, folks, if anybody's seeing this is what happens when you talk about this stuff, because it's active matrix management and we're being monitored, okay? Both Matthew's computer and my computer were shut down simultaneously.
Which is kind of interesting, because we're both on different internet connections. Miles's machine fucked up and he had to reboot it. I got logged out.
Twice. To do that twice. Okay.
I had to log out of live stream. I was logged out. It logged me out, but I had to log out again, shut the software down, and restart it all. So I mean, I had to crash my end. He had to crash his end. How's that? Weird.
So you see, this is the point. So when anybody is going to suggest that Miles has lost his bloody marbles over strange etheric life forms and crap like that, and they are monitoring, and when this started when we talked about what was going on with Dr. Rowney Kilda and what's happening in her life.
I'm tempted now to put it back on for a minute just to see what happens. So let's put it back on and see whether or not it sort of triggers some sort of like...
We are light energy, beings of light. And that was there. It was not in the physical, even it looked exactly like the physical in the last reincarnation. And if somebody was blind or deaf or had an amputated arm, they were whole. Because all these are in the physical body. They are not in the light body. Your light body cannot have any defects.
There we are. Maybe there's like an echelon type video system and it starts detecting when people are broadcasting this stuff and shuts the telly companies down temporarily.
So this is what we're talking about. The centrally generated electricity system is being an early form of global neural net.
Right.
With these black energy life forms. Because these black energy life forms and shadow creatures and things are known to attach to power systems. Again, when I was talking about the transmitters, these creatures, the scuttlers, were inside the high voltage, high power output stage of the transmitter.
And you don't think that they were just, you know, sort of recharging themselves there because, you know, they were interdimensional beings that kind of got off on high voltages?
It was the content of the signal. And this is what happened as we didn't discuss Basis 2 Part 4 with Ray Wardle. I don't know if you remember Ray Wardle, do you?
I do indeed, yes.
Yeah, well, that was the most traumatic event I had to get on and live through it with that little event. And on that interview, uh, while we recorded the interview on that, and I put the whole part up on YouTube. It's very difficult to watch. It's really difficult to hear what the hell he's saying because some invisible entity or force was in the room. Another person observed and reported to me that there were 5 greys in the room that I did that in my hotel in the International UFO Congress in 1993, I think that was. Um, and the camera picked up some kind of signal, which was a swishing, clicking noise. And the level of audio, the level of disturbance on the audio, this is the hi-fi tracks on the audio tape, on the audio tracks of the VHS tape, the Super VHS tape, was being actively interfered with by something, and the level of interference was directly proportional to the content of the meaning of what he was saying. Now I had to transfer that to a cassette tape in order to try and put the subtitles up because it was impossible to hear that. Now I tried to delete that tape and it wouldn't even erase on the VHS machine I put it on. So I decided to keep that and put it out later. So a lot of people were very interested in that little thing. But that's why when Dr. Rowney Kilda is talking about those sort of things and the kind of things we've just had, this is real. We've got to pay attention to it. And when our broadcasting system is being attacked and these kind of creatures are in it, and I get warnings from former BBC executives about mind control activities at the BBC and who they reported to and who that person actually was and whether that person's actually one of us. And you've got the same kind of thing happening in previous employers of mine. We need to pay attention and wake up, everybody. Wake up, right?
It is interesting stuff. I mean, I've seen enough weird stuff in my life to. I make a little jokes about these sorts of things.
Yeah, we're making really big jokes. 2 crop circle mugs dancing. Wow.
Yes. Oh, I was doing a little joke earlier on with putting my fingers like octopus tentacles over the lens, coming down from above when you were having a chat. But you don't mind about those sorts of things. Yeah. He has a sense of humour.
No, Matthew, it's far too serious a topic, and if we can't laugh about it and laugh at ourselves, it's time to go and get bored somewhere. Let's have a laugh. And let's
drink
some
some
fun, you know.
Drink some Guinness. Yes, but on the serious note, though, I do actually believe a lot of strange, high weirdness things can happen, and unless you're there, you're going to probably think that it sounds a load of bollocks because you weren't there. And that's the point: is you'd have to, seeing is believing. Seeing is believing, and most people would find it very, very hard to believe these things unless they were there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is entirely correct, Matthew, that they do that because it's not fair to either, oh, you're too stupid to understand this stuff, so you dismiss them. And in the same way that we're too stupid to perceive this stuff, we get dismissed or whatever. And it's very difficult for people to go through that process. And a lot of people's initial reaction, if they're healthy, will be to say, you are talking bollocks. That's entirely correct.
Yes.
But you've got to maintain your ground, which is why anything I have said has been reported and observed and reconfirmed by 2, 3, 4, or 5 other people. Okay?
Well, yes.
Or I have reported things which have been seen by other people, and I'm merely reporting their direct experiences, which are concurrent to the other experiences. And if this is affecting the one thing that everybody's looking at home, the television sets or the computers, and they're watching stuff, they should be aware that there's somebody in there messing about with our most intimate personal entertainment brought into our homes. And that's why we as a species, as human beings, should wake up to what's going on and be aware that if there's somebody else messing about, that is a high crime against humanity. And they should be taken to book for that. That's my mark on it.
Well, I
somebody's
would...
buggering about, if somebody's buggering about with broadcast systems going into people's homes for nefarious intent, they need hauled out and put to justice.
Well, you've only got to look about the level of arrogance that exists in commercial broadcasting, which you were part of with Sky, as to the complete ignoring of the law on when the adverts come. They're not allowed to put the volume up, but Sky did it. ITV does it.
Sky
All
got
the
into
channels
trouble.
do it.
Sky got into trouble for doing that, and they had to put a thing called an Optimod processor in it,
Which is a
maintained
compressor, isn't it?
the actual peak. I've even got one of the manuals upstairs. We
Yes.
use them in Energy 106. If you go to Energy 106 and the basis 4 part 2 with the bits about my radio station Energy 106, the old Optimods used at Sky, we bought and we used them on the radio station. They
Yes.
charged quite a lot of money for them as well. But that's a little bit of anorak history there, you know, if you're really into that kind of techie little world.
Yep. But the
But
point,
the point about it is that using a processor, you can maintain the technical level on a meter will be at the required level as required, or deviation as we call it. It will be at the required level as described by the legislators, but by using fancy, well, those were analog processors. Nowadays we do it with digital processing on computer systems. You can electronically make it sound louder without it actually being louder. And ultimately it reacts, it ends up being very negative to the broadcasters, because this is a debate that's been going on and on for many years. All that happens is people turn the bloody volume down. And then when the program comes along, people can't hear the bloody program. So then people don't like that station because they're having to turn the bloody volume down and then the bloody volume back up again.
yes.
So ultimately, when they mess around like that, it defeats the whole purpose. And then the adverts don't get watched because people have turned off or changed channel.
And of course, you know, Sky is one of these channels that's trying to push the concept of let's get more adverts on. Let's make it more like the States, to get more adverts and more adverts. And, you know, start the program and then go quickly to adverts. And they're trying to get this like adverts. You talk about it as an
If you want to see how, Matthew, for the viewers, if you want to see how many minutes of advertisements there are in an hour, if you take an American TV program and you see it, a 1 hour American show, for instance, Star Trek or one of those types of programs, and the Star Trek isn't on anymore, but if you take one of the American mainstream programs, and it's on BBC One or BBC Two, you'll notice it's only on for about 40 minutes, which means that 20 minutes in the hour is allocated to adverts.
yes.
And ITV is pushing that. ITV is pushing that in this country, not Sky, because Sky gets its money from honest subscriptions.
Yes.
Because Sky is honest about it. If you want to watch our programs, you pay us money. If you do not want to watch our programs, don't watch. Don't pay the money. That's it. But with the BBC and ITV, you have to pay a fortune. Every damn thing you buy in the shops, every car, everything you buy, every newspaper, everything, a proportion of your money is going to ITV, whether you like it or not. And I don't watch ITV, but I have to pay for it.
Yes, well, I think adverts are fucking an affront to humanity, an absolute fucking affront to humanity. Because there's nothing worse, I think, than being trying to be programmed by some fashion fucking conscious scumbag from.
Well, the point is, Matthew, how are you going to get your program? Who's going to pay for it? You know, the workers and people have to go in and do the damn thing. Who's going to pay them?
Well, the whole point is because of their pushing such complete crap, where like one advert will say, fashion doesn't matter. Fashion, you should be an individual. Don't worry about fashions because that's bad. And then the next advert will say, you must keep up with fashion because you're worth it. Yeah,
Matthew, I've got news for you on that whole subject.
Mm-hmm.
One of my colleagues has got a master's in psychology, and he is been doing. I won't say what he's been doing because it might get back to him. And he is shocked at the level of satanic ritual, Aleister Crowley techniques being used in advertising in this country to ensnare through the purposes of mind control. And this goes right down to flash frame imaging, the certain tones of jingles used in news broadcasts by the BBC, and in the way that the framing of the pictures are, and the certain shapes in the set design, including the whole way that adverts are constructed. And he's absolutely shocked that his profession that he wants to go into is being manipulated using the darkest elements of the black arts.
Yes.
And that's allowed by your broadcasting organizations. in this country.
Well,
Licensed broadcast organizations.
This is what
which is why the pirate broadcasters are so heavily pursued, because the pirate stations didn't have that stuff in them, and they didn't want people listening to pirate radio for that very reason, because you wouldn't get the signals. You'd wake up.
Yes, I can't imagine that any.
Why they like the pirates.
What we're getting? What's that flashing?
The flashing is the automatic exposure on this camera, because there's a light on. It's now too dark around here.
Okay, it's nothing weird happening then. No.
I'll switch that light off.
Okay. Just wondered whether it was something weird, and it's not, so that's fine. Yeah, I can't imagine that any broadcasting corporation or company that puts out programming and knows the power of the medium they're dealing with to reprogram people's minds is just going to say, oh, we need to just do this in a way where people can just have the truth, and it can all be great, and just tell people truth all the time, and give them give people the benefit of the doubt, and just let them get on with their lives. Of course, they don't fucking do that. For a start, the point
is, Matthew, there are 99.9% of the people in broadcasting are hardworking, creative people who want to do a good job.
But they're told what to do.
They want to do the whole thing.
Yes.
They want to do the best thing. They get up in the morning. They work very long, huge hours. Some of the people who work in broadcasting work the most appalling hours. Some people I know work 36-hour shifts. One shift, 36 hours long, on breakfast television in this country. And they're treated like slave labor, because they're young people. They're always going to be wanting to do something better. So, if they want to get on, you'll have to do this. And a lot of really good people are working in that industry. But as I have lost my career on this and spotted the nefarious actions of nefarious people manipulating the broadcasting industry in this country, and I've seen it from both sides. I've seen it from the pirate side, where we're being hijacked by nefarious activities for the purposes of mind control, when somebody's actually physically abducted, taken away. And we've seen the technology in use. All this stuff with scuttlers are man-made technology projections. And I'll read the actual thing if people want to actually get this nailed under their heads, right? You've got me aggravated now, Matthew. Right. Indeed, a theory can construct functioning robotic systems of these internal engines in clandestine Russian weapons research.
Uh-oh. Sounds like a drop. Oh, dear. Can you still see me? He's dropped. There we are, he's dropped. What have I dropped? Oh, I think that's yes. Good, you can still see me. Well, sadly, he's gone off and Skype's gone off. So his Skype's gone down, but you're still receiving me, so I haven't crashed out yet. Right, okay. Well, I think there's obviously a lot that's being done with this stuff in terms of the media, manipulating strobe rates, flash rates, sounds, colours, suggestions, the types of programs that are on TV, which are basically dumbing people down, fucking dumbing people all the way down, and the types of psychological techniques which are used, such as repeating things 3 times. Everything must be repeated 3 times, which is a psychological technique. You turn on to a documentary that's supposed to be about space. And what you can do is say it's a half-an-hour documentary. You watch the first, say, 10 minutes, and then in the second, like from 10 minutes to 20 minutes, they'll repeat the stuff that's been in the first 10 minutes. And then in minutes 20 to 30, they'll repeat the stuff that's been in minutes 10, and 20. So it's basically, they repeat everything 3 times. So you end up, when you watch these things, you're thinking, well, it's all sort of whizzy, jizzy, CGI graphics, and, what's being said? It's 10 minutes for a half-an-hour program. You know, so there's the padding that is done on purpose so that they can repeat the same points over and over again. And this is a terrible, terrible waste of your life watching this stuff. And it's a programming technique to make sure you get the point. You get the point. It treats you as unintelligent so that you cannot... It's almost like as if you're not worthy of being able to concentrate enough to get the point. So they have to tell you again, you know. And I think it's a disgusting thing, and I really detest advertising because, again, that's repetitive concept. Every advert break, same fucking adverts, same sorts of messages, always being reinforced all the fucking time. And it's made me so angry, I got rid of my television. And, you know, Wraith Woman says that's why she stopped watching TV. And... basically, this is the reason why every motherfucker who's got a brain cell downloads programs and movies off the internet and watches them on their computer. And the reason is because they don't want the fucking adverts, number one. And two, they don't want the program broken up. They want to watch the whole fucking thing in one go. Yes? And they don't want to be told when they can watch it and how they can watch it. They want to do it when they want to fucking do it. You know? And they don't want to have individual little messages and propaganda put in between the programs. Nothing to do with adverts, but, you know, like, oh, coming up on the news later on, why we should be killing people in another country. You know? It's like, I don't want that shit. I don't need it. I don't want it. And I certainly don't want to invite it into my home. So, yeah, you know, that's why I got rid of my fucking TV. And if I want to watch something, I will download it and I'll watch it on my computer. And fuck them. And fuck their revenues and fuck their profits. Fuck them. Because if they're selling you bullshit during the breaks, during the advert breaks, and they're selling you propagandized lies on the fucking news in order to, you know, make all of this happen, obviously for a government agenda, then fuck them. We'll just circumvent it. That's fine, you know. Absolutely fine. We will just circumvent it, and we will watch it our way. And they don't seem to like this, do they? You know, they've got a slight aversion to this type of technique that people are using to avoid the advertising. And I disagree slightly with Miles because I do believe that believe that Sky is actually quite bad for its adverts and the way they put them out. But there you go. I mean, isn't there a market out there for a radio station that plays music with no fucking gabbing DJ in between the fucking tracks? Isn't there a market for that? Don't you think there would be a market for listening to the latest types of, you know, music that's out there without all the fucking bollocks and all of the, and here we have to go to an advert break, and, you know, and then it's like you listen to some radio stations, you know, and I can't listen to them for very long, and it's like you have one music track and then you have 7 fucking adverts. And what are the adverts like? It's like a local one we've got here is like, you know, if you need your plastics, come to Caution Building Plastics. Caution Building Plastics. If you need your plastics, come to Caution Building Plastics. If you need your plastics, come to Caution Building Plastics. 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 And it's like, for fuck's sake, how fucking dare you, motherfuckers, put that shit in between the music? How the fuck dare you? And people are so fucking brainwashed. They listen to that shit and they start singing the fucking songs because they've got to be like fucking sheep, like complete cattle. You know, you'll catch them walking around the office place going, yeah, do 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 do, you know, whistling the fucking tune, and then going, Caution Building Plastics, Caution Building Plastics, Caution. It's like, for fuck's sake, people, you know. And isn't there a market for a radio station that just doesn't fucking do that? Plays music, you know, nothing but the music. And then after 5 tracks tells you what the last 5 tracks you listened to were. And then just go straight on with 5 more fucking tracks. Is there not a market for that? Well, no, because you can't get any money because there's no advertising. Fucking subscribe to the fucker. Subscribe to the fucker. Isn't there a market for that? Well, no, of course everybody goes on the internet now because that's the only place you can fucking get it. Because none of these motherfuckers that broadcast want to give you free thought. They don't want to give you free thought. They want to fucking control your thoughts. You know, they want to rape the fucking money out of you and control your thoughts. You know, it's like, would you like to take your neighbour to court? Would you like to take your neighbour to court? Would you like to take your employer to court? Would you like to take your employer to court? You know, all this sort of crap. It's like, fucking, it's a nightmare. I mean, you know, I could dip into television for about 10 minutes before I'd have to turn the bastard off. So anyway. Yeah. Oh, well, somebody says I should be on telly. Yeah, I tell you what, though, if I was on telly, I'd be saying, right then, folks, turn the fucking telly off now and come back in 5 minutes, because I do not want you watching these fucking adverts. So I'll see you back here in 5 minutes. Do not watch these fucking adverts, and if you do watch them, don't fucking buy one of these products. Fuck them. And that would be my television show. I wouldn't be on for very long, though, would I? So that would be my idea of how to be on independent television. Yeah. I wouldn't be liked for that, though. But, hey, you know, where's the honesty in the people that do these programs? They're like, you know, we'll be back after this break. You know, it's like, we'll be back after this wonderful fucking break. No, not fucking wonderful. You know, we'll be back after this shitty fucking break. You know, don't go insane and become paranoid with the fucking propaganda they pump you during the break. See you back in 5 minutes. Make sure you turn the fucking telly off. Set your timer now. Who wants that fucking shit? Certainly not me. So there we go. Anyway, Miles never came back online, so I'm assuming he's got problems with his internet. So he had a few blips there tonight, but that's a bit of a shame. Anyway, crop circles, Matt. What about the crop circles, Roger? There ain't any, is there? Is there any crop circles out there? Not very good ones. We did have a look at them earlier on, and we commented about them being not very good this year so far. Some very much half-finished stuff by the looks of it, and some very beginnerish stuff. It might pick up, but I'm not hearing any rumblings from the main circle makers that they're going to go out and do stuff. I know that, you know, some of that stuff that has appeared so far is half-finished. I know that. The people that have done it got bored halfway through and just walked off the jobs, and you know which ones they are. You can tell. Just look at them, work out which ones don't look finished. Yes, that was the reason. They just couldn't be fucking asked to finish them. Yes, well done. So that's the sort of circle making that's been going on this year. It's not looking good. It's not looking very good. It's a bit sad, but there we are. I'm not a circle maker now. I'm a circle pundit and commentator. But yeah, I'm hoping that the good circle makers are going to come out of retirement at some point during the summer, and there's going to be a couple of good ones out there. But, you know, we shall have to see. That's not for me to say. That's totally down to them. But yes, we think... why do you think that is, says Sonia. Well, it could be because of this show, but then again, it could be because things have been drifting that way for a while. People have been slagging off the circle makers for such a long time that the circle makers have been wanting to rebel, and, well, you know, me doing this show is really... I'm mirroring what people are saying out there about whether or not they want to do work or whether they're going to give it up. And I'm mirroring that, and I'm, you know, the only way to really put that across is in this format, because you don't get invited to do conferences where people who say they're interested in crop circle research actually go. You're not allowed near those places. You're not allowed to promote your ideas, your beliefs, because it's not good for business. So the only way to do it is on a show like this. And I think that this show has probably contributed to a lot of people saying, well, fuck it then, you know, This is the moment they were kind of waiting for, to say, fuck it, you know, because everybody's been saying for so long, for so many years, been saying, oh, you know, maybe it would be funny if we all stopped, but, you know, but if we stopped, nobody else would stop, you know, and we always thought that was true. If kind of we stopped, maybe somebody else would start making them, and it would just carry on. And of course, but the trouble is, the standards of the circles that have been appearing don't seem to suggest that the people have got the same level of skills. One or two, but again, you know, you're not looking in the high numbers here. So whether or not this means that people are seeing that potentially this is an opportunity to actually give it a rest. You know, this could be a year off for circle makers who have every year given it their all, free of charge, for circle researchers to make massive amounts of money out of, and then call circle makers all the scumbags under the sun. So, you know, maybe that's coming home to roost now. I think that you know, circle makers have threatened to boycott making circles for a long time, but you know, you've got a few out there, but it's kind of, I think it's going to show up. I think it could show up this year. There's going to be a lot less out there, and what is out there, I think you should definitely say, if it looks crap, count it out, you know, cross it off the list. You know, let's talk about good quality circles, not little simple things, not little, you know, 5 foot across, you know, or simple rings. Yeah, they're not your complicated crop circles, right? Strike them off the list. How many have we had this year so far that actually warrant being called, you know, decent crop circles? I'd say probably about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6. Probably like that, 6 circles, something of that nature, maybe. Could be wrong, but you know. Anyway, it's hello, Barbary Castle. Okay. How do I? Okay, yeah, I'll talk about Barbary Castle and I'll do it. And Sonia says, how do I feel about comments to you on the CCC forum? Well, I give as good as I get. That's what I'll say, is I do give as good as I get. So, yeah. But Barbary Castle, right, you want to know about Barbary Castle. Okay. You want an exclusive. Miles' stuff was very interesting tonight, but we'll give you an exclusive that makes this show something that will probably be remembered and talked about as well. You know, we'll give you something very crop circly tonight to take up the balance from, you know, where we've been talking about the conspiracy stuff earlier on. You want Barbary Castle? I'll give you Barbary Castle. Barbary Castle has always been held as a formation that could not be shaken. Should not be shaken. You know, it was always held as, you know, the one that would not be talked about and would never be revealed. But you know, I actually met the maker of the Barbary Castle formation. Let me just call it up. Okay, and he had an interesting tale to tell. I've talked about this person before. He only made 3 circles, believe it or not. The person who made the Barbary Castle formation only made 3 formations, I believe, in his whole circle making career. And I think Barbary Castle might have been number 1 or 2 out of it all. So Barbary Castle crop circle, 1991. Here we go. Let's get him up. Let's switch this to be able to see the whole screen. Barbary Castle crop circle, images. Let's see what we got. Right, come on in. Up we come. Yeah, okay. So this is Barbary Castle. So we understand what we're talking about here. Okay, that's the Barbary Castle formation. Now then, the person who made this, why do I believe them? Okay, well, I'll tell you why I believe them. Because they are the person who also created the Meaden Talks Shit Circle. And I met them just by pure chance up at the Chair Hill Monument. And the Chair Hill Monument is like an obelisk. It's like a Freemasonic type obelisk thing that looms over the Wiltshire landscape, you know, as they do these fucking Freemasonic obelisks, you know. Look at us. We've got a big fucking obelisk on the top of a hill, and that means we own all this. It's all ours. Belongs to us. We the Freemasons. We own it all. Yeah, motherfuckers, we are the Freemasons. What are you going to do about that then, yeah? And then, of course, they don't say that, do they? They don't put a plaque on there saying, you know, we're the Freemasons, fuck you. What they do is they say, well, you know, it's a war memorial. It's a thing for people who died in the war, yes? But, I mean, let's face it, we all know what it is. Because we're not fucking stupid, yeah? And, yes, so, you know, these little monuments we have about the place to tell us that we are slaves and, you know, we are not worthy. Oh, yes, our masters, our big, you know, upper-class masters. Anyway, I was up there next to this fucking aberration against fucking humanity, and lo and behold, I heard somebody talking about crop circles. Now, when you're a circle maker, you kind of get to know when people are talking about crop circles, when they know a little bit more than they're actually saying. It becomes like a kind of sixth sense in the way that people are sort of hedging their responses and talking. And you get a sixth sense for it. I've got a pretty good sixth sense. And when I hear people speaking, I say, you've made fucking circles, haven't you? And they're like, no. And it's like, you dig it out. And it's like, yeah, actually I have. Yeah. Well, which ones have you done then? Which ones have I done? Okay, and you end up talking about it. So I'm pretty good at working people out like that. Anyway, I made this guy, I sort of clocked him. And that's probably Miles. Hang on a second. Oh, shit. Always doing that. Press the fucking button to drop the call. Balls. Well, anyway, let's not interrupt this story because I'll get completely sidetracked. And Jesus, dude, sometimes you just want to throw things out the fucking window. Can the phone actually please let me into the screen where I can press shut the fuck up? Like that. Eventually, yes, it can. Right. So this guy was talking to another gentleman about crop circles. Now, he was basically sort of trying to ascertain whether the person he was talking to knew anything about crop circles, and he was bringing his conversation down to that sort of level. I realised that he knew a bit more than he was saying. So when this other guy pissed off, I waited and then popped up to this bloke and I said, "Oh, you're interested in crop circles? I'm interested in crop circles too." And he said, "Oh, yes." And I said, "Yeah, I heard you talking there. I mean, I know a lot of people make them in this area," and started down that line. We got on to the fact that I was a circle maker. And he said, "I thought I recognised you. I saw you. You got arrested and you were in the newspaper." And I said, "Yeah." He says, Yeah. So, do you know, many people who've made some of the early circles then? And I'm like, well, like which ones? And he goes, well, stuff like the famous ones like the Eastfield and Barbary Castle and that sort of thing. And I said, well, I've never met anybody who said they made the Alton Barnes one, the Led Zeppelin. Barbary Castle, no, they are still sort of held in high regard. What do you think about that then? And he said, "Oh, right, well, I know some people who made crop circles back then, some of them." He said, "I'll show you something." And he got out, I got a piece of, because it's very chalky up there, he actually managed to find a piece of chalk, which you get, under the, like a sort of half a foot of earth. If you lift it up, there's probably chalk there because it's a very chalky area of the country, Wiltshire. And he picked up this piece of chalk, and on the steps of this obelisk, the Chair Hill Monument, he actually scribbled out like a set of squares, really. I suppose you could describe them squares. And he said, "Do you remember this crop circle?" And I said, yeah, I seem to remember it. It's like they were trying to decipher what it was. And I'll draw it for you so you understand what I'm talking about. And he said, yes, nobody could ever work out what it was. They were sort of like trying to sort of decipher it. And it's a little bit like this, okay? It's a little bit like that there. And I said, yeah, so nobody ever did. I think somebody said that they thought it meant apono astos, which is sort of Greek for "we oppose acts of deception" or something like that. And he said, yeah, that's right. That was Michael Green said that. And I said, oh, you know all about that one then, do you? What do you know? And he said, yeah, well, some friends of mine made that. And I said, really? Some friends of yours? That's excellent. And he said, yeah, but the thing is, nobody got it right what it actually means. And I said, oh, really? Well, there's a way to decode it. I'd be interested to know. He says, it's really simple. He said, do you know what, though? We never went back to finish it off because it was meant to be in two parts. We put this bit down and people were meant to look at it and then they would take it in, say, oh, yes, isn't it wonderful, and come up with all their theories, And then we would put the second half in and people would see, look, it actually means this. And they'd feel really silly because they got it wrong and they didn't know what they were talking about, and they'd come up with all these theories as to what it meant, and all the experts pronouncing how clever they are because they decoded the truth of it and all this sort of stuff. And I said, oh, right, so what was the purpose behind doing that? And he says, well, the reason was because I fucking hated all these fucking crop circle researchers who think they know so much about the fucking subject. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, you seem to be quite passionate about this. So he says, yeah, I am, because I made that, right? I made that with my mates, right? And we did it to fuck them over because we were really pissed off at what people were saying about crop circles. I'm like, oh, okay. So what does it decode to then? He says, well, have a look at this. It's really simple. And basically, it's like a calculator. When you get a calculator, it has like the numbers on a calculator are kind of like that. So you've got like a number 8, yeah? It's made up of squares, yes? So that's a digital number on a calculator. Well, basically, if you imagine that the lower half of the squares, but not the upper half. So if you have a number 8, which is a square on top and a square on the bottom, you just use the square on the bottom, okay? And you take the whole row of the bottom row is the squares that is represented in this lower half of the crop circle. And then, if you complete the upper half with what he showed me, it immediately says, Meaden talks shit. Okay? Meaden talks shit. And the reason he did this is because people like Terence Meaden were, at the time, saying that all these things were made by plasma vortices. Okay? Plasma vortices were the answer. So people like this guy, who were really, really upset by the notion that people couldn't make these crop circles, and that people like Terence Meaden were going out there and saying, nah, it fucking can't be, it's plasma, and it's very complicated, the maths and how it would all make it all work and all that. And he thought to himself, right then, you say plasma vortices are making these fucking circles, I'll give you a fucking circle that cannot, in any way, shape or form, be made by plasma. And guess what that circle was? Barbary Castle. And guess why it was made the way it was? Because it had components in each of the parts of the triangle that would be something that would be impossible, or near enough impossible, for somebody like Meaden to attribute to the plasma vortices theory. So this is what this guy's telling me, and I'm like, well, obviously he knows what he's talking about with this circle beneath, because he's just decoded it for me. He seems like he's a circle maker because of his attitude towards these researchers, because he dislikes the way these researchers work. So if he's giving me this on the one hand and saying this is how you decode this, I'm very prepared to believe he's telling me the truth about this other one, the Barbary Castle one. Now, I said to him, the question that everybody asked is, why did one of those arms bend like that? Because a lot of people actually said, that it had mystical significance, that one of the arms was kind of skewiff. And do you know what his answer was to this? His fucking answer to why one of the arms was skewiff? He said, well, we'd only made one circle before that. I think this was his answer. He was like, we'd only made one circle before that, and then we did that, We did that, and we'd never really done anything before. So it's basically, we went out and made this thing that was like, it had to contain really weird elements that nobody could possibly explain, yeah? But we didn't really know what the fuck we were doing. And of course, when we couldn't get it right, we just had to bend it to make it fit, because it wouldn't fit any other way, because we hadn't got our measurements perfect. And it's like, nice one. Cool stuff. Thanks very much for that. Now, I said it before because I've told people the story, that the gentleman involved worked for the RAF. Okay? So he wasn't a pilot, he was a technician working in the RAF. And he said to me that he would possibly contact me again in the future. And I said, well, if I need to contact you, I'll try and put something in the press saying, please contact me because I'd like to speak to you. But, keep in touch, even if it's anonymously, through an anonymous email or something like that I can respond to. Just try and keep in touch, because I'd like to keep in touch with you. And he said, well, I tell you what, I'm not really interested in getting involved in any of it, I did 3 circles. I did the Barbary Castle. We did this other one. I can't remember which one it was. We did this other one, which, was really crap, and we were experimenting with anyway. It was a crap one. It wasn't very good. So we went from the really crap one, Barbary Castle, and I think this one. I can't remember if I get the order right now, whether this Rune one was first and then Barbary Castle, but I think it was Barbary Castle in the Runes. And the Runes one was basically a parting. It was a parting. Fuck you, Meaden. Fuck you and your bullshit. Yeah. And he wanted to get people with egg on their faces. You know, he wanted to show that these researchers didn't know what the hell they were talking about. And it was a brilliant idea when you think about it. You know, sort of release the second half of the circle later on and show all you experts you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, because it's quite simple to decode. Here's the decoding. You know, it's quite simple. So anyway, I believe that was the gentleman who created the Barbary Castle. And as he put it to me, I was fucked off with them all. And after that, I never made any more circles, and I haven't done to this day. And to be honest, I don't really want to get involved in, you know, being like, oh yeah, I made the Barbary Castle and all that. He said, but if you want to tell people what I'm telling you here, you go right ahead. You have my full permission, he said. You tell people. But I don't want to get involved. I don't want to be a personality. Don't want my name in it. And I've got a job. And it would probably not look good that I was doing something like that, which is an illegal activity, when I work for the RAF. You know, it's not going to go down well. So I think I'd rather stay out of it now. It was just me and two other friends of mine. I believe he said they worked for the RAF as well. So basically, it was a bunch of guys who worked for the RAF made Barbary Castle. Can you fucking Adam and Eve it? Yes. So there we go. Barbary Castle. Now, I've got a lead. I've got a lead on the Led Zeppelin formation. But I have to go and find somebody who no longer lives in the area, who will then introduce me to somebody they know that knows something about it. But I haven't followed it up. So that we'll come back to that one with a little story. I'm not saying that we'll ever get these people on Circlemakers TV, because I've completely lost contact with that gentleman. But he obviously knew his stuff, because, you know, formation he created there. I hope he wasn't just trying to, you know, to make credit for himself with the Barbary formation. But, you know, it's like with me with the basket weave formation, you know. If you've done something like the Mead talk shit, you know, to make a point, yeah, that's maybe not what you want to be remembered for. You want somebody to remember you for the good one you did. And I think that's a perfectly normal human sentiment. So when this guy says to me, you know, I only made one other circle, I made a crap one, Barbary Castle, and Mead talk shit. And the point was, we were so disillusioned with the whole subject, we never even bothered finishing off the Mead talk shit, because we couldn't even be asked to go back and finish it off. That's how pissed off we were with the whole subject. You know, we did all this to prove a point, that Meaden was wrong. That was Barbary Castle. That's why Barbary Castle was created, to prove Meaden was wrong. His theories didn't work. And the Meaden talk shit was the, you know, are you getting it now, Terence? Are you getting it? So it's a bit sad that, you know, that guy was wound up to the point where he would do that, but I have no reason to disbelieve that story. Of course, it is just a story, but as stories go, I think he was a good enough, you know, honest character in the way he put his stuff across. I like to believe it. So I think I shall leave you on Circlemaker TV very soon, but let's see what you've been saying in channel, because you've probably been freaking out now, going, oh my god, Barbary Castle. Anyway, right. Anyway, Sonia says, what? Rubbish, Matt. I don't know. The CC's this year. Hang on. Phase 7 says, Matt, Barbary Castle 1991. Keith says, simple is crap. The White Room says, thanks, Matt. That's me putting this sarcastic tone on it. He's probably being sincere there. Anything else? Obelisks. They seem to disappear before my very eyes. Poof, green smoke. Yeah. Well, I think because we're getting close to 2012 now. You see, we've got to get all these secrets out there about circle making before we get eliminated off the planet. Otherwise, once we're all in the next dimension, you know, as little spirits, you'll all have the answers then anyway. So we might as well tell you now before 2012 and we're all dead. Yes. So, okay, what about... yeah, nobody else is mentioning anything else. So everybody says, good show. I had to finish it on something of a high. So, you know, you'll be remembering that one for a while, I'm sure. God, the controversy is going to start now, isn't it? Oh, yes. Rug pulled Barbary Castle. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Well, there we go. That's what the gentleman wanted me to do. When he gave me that information, that is what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to tell people a bit about Barbary Castle, but I couldn't bring myself to do it for many years. because I was trying to work with these researchers and, didn't really want to make it sort of like, fuck you. But, as it turns out, there's been no real way to get through to most researchers. Of course, the Collins of this world and the Terry Toftness of this world, honest people. The rest of them, they don't give a fuck. They just want it their way. So, it's kind of like, it's nice sometimes to have a little bit of ammunition there to kind of, shake these ivory towers. And I hope some of these things are sort of making people see the subject for what it is. It's a human-made subject, I think. I've played a game over the years of saying to people, yeah, Barbary Castle. Yeah, nobody knows who's made that one. Yeah, and I knew all along because I'd spoken to this guy. And, I made a conscious decision that I was not going to say about that one. Yeah, and I changed my mind. I changed my mind recently with this show. So there you go. You've got it now. There ain't many secrets like that I've got. That's about the biggest one. And I'm not going to break confidences of other circle makers, but this particular circle maker said, it's yours. You can do what you want with that information. So now I have. So maybe he'll actually contact me again now, because he was pissed off that I didn't actually say about Barbary Castle when he told me the story and I didn't mention Barbary Castle. Maybe he thought, oh, he's a bit dodgy, isn't he? He never fucking said about the Barbary Castle I told him about. He fucking said about the meet and talk shit, but he never fucking said about Barbary Castle. You see, so maybe he was a bit pissed off that I kind of just only acknowledged his meet and talk shit and I never gave him his credit for his masterpiece, you see. So maybe that's why he didn't contact me. So if he watches this show, maybe now he will forgive, because there was reasons why I didn't bring Barbary Castle out. It's it's one of those ones that a lot of people have got a lot of hold in their hearts about that formation. I mean, it's on the roof of the Barge Inn. It's up there on the ceiling. It's the Sistine Chapel, isn't it? It's like saying God doesn't exist, or is Jesus was not the Son of God. It's like, this is heresy, basically. It's total heresy. But we live in interesting times, don't we? And yes, I think information like that should be shared. I could get into a car accident tomorrow, and then you'd never hear that story. So it's out now. Anyway, there you go. So, there we are. So a Braith woman says, rug pulled. Yes, indeed. Yes. I might feel bad about saying that tomorrow, but there we go. It's off my chest now. It's off my chest. It's out in the open, as the gentleman wanted. And it's his circle, so it's his right to say. Had he told me not to say, I wouldn't have said. So, there we go. Yeah, so what's... well, it's one for the money, says somebody in channel, Joe. Okay, well they're all doing Elvis impersonations in channel, so I think it's time to wrap this one up. So hopefully you've enjoyed the show, and thanks very much to the guest, Miles. If there's anything else we need to cover, we'll get Miles on again, because he has got a lot to say. We've covered... Sorry. Might get number 2 on that one. He has got a lot to say, so we could well come back to Miles again in the future. So thank you very much, sir, for your information. He's on Megawatts 1066 on YouTube, Megawatts 1066, and you can get in touch with him via YouTube to order his DVDs if you want to see full versions of the videos which are actually on YouTube. I would say go and have a look at some of them, including the lady, and I'll just get it for you quickly. Find it now. Bollocks. Oh, Christ. Anyway, it's called Bases 5 Part 2, Mind Control, UFOs and Swine Flu. So if you Bases 5 Part 2, and it's on the YouTube channel for Megawatts 1066. So go and check that video out, because the lady there was the... medical officer, chief medical officer for Finland, which is no mean feat, is it really, when you think about it? That's a pretty impressive title, and she's got a lot of strange stuff to talk about. including the swine flu, which he goes into in great detail about how the whole world was conned fucking backwards on that one. So I'll let you look into that yourself. So thanks for tuning into the show, and we shall hopefully catch you next week, same time, same place, with Colin Andrews, who's going to come on the show. So we'll definitely hear from Colin what he thinks about the Barbary Castle information. It would be very interesting to see. So I'm sure by next week he will absorb that one in and have something to talk to us about. But I think it's better I do it on this show rather than the Colin show, because he might be speechless for half of the evening if I pulled that one on him. So here you go. Thank you very much, and tune in next week for Colin Andrews. Hang on, 2 seconds. Barbary Castle was man-made. Have it.